AM 590, KXSP Omaha's ESPN Radio. It's time for the Metro's only racing talk show. The Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Now, here's Dan Taylor and Buddy Ray.
Well, good morning, race fans, and welcome to the Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. It's online at joeskarting.com, and it is a newly renovated joeskarting.com. I got to tell you, not only are they good at doing the whole indoor karting thing, making things entertaining for fans and for racers alike, but they do a fantastic job with their website. Their new website is absolutely phenomenal. It's easy to navigate, free-flowing, great information on there. Hours of operation, prices for racing, deals that you can get. They've got links to videos, to how-tos and tips and tricks on how to get around Joe's Karting, because let's face it, it doesn't matter if you're someone like me that runs a 17-second lap time, or someone that's really experienced at racing, like, for instance, let's say a Jack Dover, a Shaylee Bade, even a Buddy Ray that knows how to get around Joe's Karting. I need those tips too. So I go to Joe's Karting's website, I check out those videos, and I learn little tips and tricks to shred that half a second, maybe even a second off of my time, and then I can compete in the month-end contests that Joe's Karting does to keep people entertained. A lot of great things at joeskarting.com. Again, karting with a K, and even better things over at their Facebook page. Up-to-date information, great little tips and tricks again. A lot of great stuff over at Joe's Karting's Facebook page. Make sure you head over there today and check out everything I've been talking about for the last, 4 years on this show now. I think we're into year number 4. So we appreciate you joining us today on the Front Stretch. Got a lot lined up for you today. I do want to take a second to break in or talk about some of the big news that broke earlier this week. Allow me to get my thoughts together, as I'm pretty shocked by this. Jeff Gordon announced that this season, 2015, will be his final full-time ride. Now, this does not mean that Jeff is retiring from racing. In fact, in his statement at Hendrick Motorsports on Thursday morning when he made the announcement, he said, "This isn't the R word. I am not retiring. I am still going to have a presence in racing, but I will not be racing for a championship, and I won't be racing a full season in 2016. So that's the direction that's heading, and as of right now, the speculation can begin of who's going to take over that 24, but I think it's pretty safe to say, but listen, I've been wrong in the past, that Chase Elliott will begin to make his way up into that 24. So I'm willing to bet, depending on Chase's development down in Nationwide in this, I did it. I've already got to throw $1 in the pot. I've got my cuss jar, by the way. Every time that I call the now Xfinity series the Nationwide series, I am throwing $1 in the pot. So right there's my $1 in the pot, and at the end of the year, when I've got like $400 or $500 in there, I'll decide what to do with it. I'll probably end up pooling it back into cash for the Pick'ems contest. But anyways. All right, so Jeff Gordon set to reduce his commitment in NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. I got a feeling the smart thing to do, as far as I'm concerned, is to run Jeff Gordon and Chase Elliott in that 24 car, maybe on a 50-50 basis, or maybe Jeff races 65 to 70% of the time, Chase eases into it, and that's the transition over the next couple of years to let Chase into this. We've seen it so many times in pro sports. There's so much money and so much pressure on these athletes to perform right off of day one that we tend to ruin them, and there's cases like Kyle Larson, who handles that pressure so well, but I think Kyle is the exception to the rule. We've got to talk to him several times at Kansas, and we've done some really cool things with Kyle. He is just he is a cut above the rest, and he is just such a calm, cool, collect cat that he is the exception to the rule. More often than not, you're going to have somebody that's going to buckle under the pressure. And I think if Rick Hendrick is able to work this just right, they'll be able to really make Chase Elliott a champion in just a few years, as opposed to throwing him in there. Now, Chase may be this guy. You look at Chase do interviews, and I see calm, cool, collect cat just as much as I see Kyle Larson being the same thing. So I think that's the direction we're going to go. We're going to see Jeff Gordon reduce the amount of races in 2016, and we're going to see Chase Elliott racing the times in that 24 car. So big news in the NASCAR world is Jeff Gordon has announced that 2015 will be his final full-time ride at Hendrick Motorsports, or his final full-time year at Hendrick Motorsports. We've got a little bit of time left in the show before we get into turn number 2, and we talked to Bret Pugh at Shelby County Speedway about changes they've made since we talked to him last. I believe it was back in September or October we talked to him when he took over as the race director for Shelby County Speedway. So we'll get you an update on that in turn number 2. And then turn number 3, we will have our final Legends of the Dirt series with Willie Craft. We talked to Willie a couple of weeks ago. Lee Ackerman and I did. So Lee will join me in turns 3 and 4, and we will do the Legends of the Dirt series for the final time. Little scheduling note for the next couple of weeks. The next weekend, February 1st, we will be playing the hour number 1 for the Playland Speedway reunion show. Back in September, we sat down at Quaker Steak and Lube in Council Bluffs, and we recorded the Playland Speedway reunion show. It was about a 2-hour show, so we broke it up into 2 different shows to be aired next weekend, February 1st, and the following weekend, February 8th. Now, there is a chance, and let's just assume that this doesn't happen and the Playland Speedway show is going to air as normal on February 1st and February 8th. But there is a slight chance because there's there's like a football game or something going on February 1st. And sometimes ESPN, our lovely satellite provider out of Connecticut, likes to do a special Mike and Mike show in the morning, based around that one little game that they're going to be playing on Sunday, February 1st. So if that happens, then the front stretch will get bumped, and you'll be hearing some pretty good football news and football analysis that Mike and Mike does every Monday through Friday here on ESPN Radio. If that is the case and we do get bumped, then we'll just move everything back a week. So the Playland Speedway show, hour number 1, will be on February 8th, and then the following weekend, February 15th, will be hour number 2. But we're just going to assume, like last year happened, that doesn't happen. We don't get bumped. The show airs as normal, and we will be on the air with the Playland Speedway reunion show, hour number 1. Got a few minutes left in the break, so I want to make sure and get it out there one more time that you can join the Pick'ems contest for absolutely free. All you got to do is pull up your email right now. Send me an email, frontstretch590@gmail.com. This is about the simplest of leagues that we can get and just have fun. What you're going to do each and every race weekend, you're going to send me the driver you think is going to score you the most points. I'll mark it down on my spreadsheet. The race will happen, and then you will get those championship driver points of the driver you picked towards the Pick'ems contest. And we do a season-long competition, but this year we're going to break it up into 2 different seasons. There's going to be the first 26 races, and then we're going to take 15 contestants that are going to be championship eligible. And the way you get championship eligible is you either A, pick a winning driver during the regular season, or B, you be the best of the rest that didn't pick a championship driver. We're going to take 15 of the contestants, and more than likely there's going to be about 10, maybe 7 to 10 people that are going to pick race-winning drivers, so they're going to automatically qualify during the first 26 races, and then the rest of you are going to be tallied by the championship driver points that you have accumulated through the 26 races. We'll take the remaining picks, the remaining contestants, we'll fill up the 15 slots. That will be our 15 contestants. They will be bumped up to 2,000 points, and we will play for the championship for 2015. Sonia Worth, I got a feeling, says she's going to be tough to beat again this year, but we had to break it up into 2 different seasons because we wanted to make it a little bit more competitive, because Sonia frankly, she whooped up on the boys. It was... Well, let's just face it. It was a little embarrassing how good she did and how much she whooped up on those boys. And I know, Sonia, you're just sitting there laughing and giggling, and I'm going to get a text message or an email in a little bit saying about how you loved hearing about how much you whooped up on those boys. So, Sonia, time to defend your championship. All of you, it's time to get in on the contest for absolutely free and try to unseat our champion. So, go after that championship. A lot of great prizes. Last year, for paying absolutely nothing, people got to do pit passes at I-80 Speedway for the Silver Dollar Nationals and the Midwest Fall Brawl. They got garage passes and tickets to the race for the October race at Kansas Speedway. I know we're working on tickets for the May race this year, so those are going to be put into the prize pool. They got autographs from Kyle Larson, Dylan Wisniewski, Ty Dillon, Rusty Wallace. They got tickets to Iowa Speedway, all sorts of great prizes that we were able to give out to our fans. Send me an email right now, frontstretch590@gmail.com, and you can get involved in the Pick'ems contest for absolutely free. I'll send you all the rules and the guidelines and all that fun stuff back in an email, and then when the Daytona 500 happens, we'll be down at Quaker Steak and Lube celebrating the Daytona 500, the kickoff to the 2015 NASCAR season. And the final full-time season for Jeff Gordon now that we've learned that earlier this week. So a lot going on for the Front Stretch. Just go ahead and send me that email right now, frontstretch590@gmail.com. You can get into the Pick'ems contest. Already, I have 7 hero cards signed by Brad Keselowski, 2 hero cards signed by Kyle Larson, and I have 2 pieces of sheet metal from Kyle Larson's number 42 at the summer race at Loudon, New Hampshire. So a lot of really cool prizes that are already laying in to the Front Stretch. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be back. Turn number 2, Bret Pugh from Shelby County Speedway will get us updated on all the things happening at Shelby County Speedway in Harlan. And then turns 3 and 4 will end the Legends of the Dirt series with Willie Craft. We appreciate you joining us this morning on the Front Stretch on AM 590 Omaha's ESPN Radio.
Are you looking to book your next outing? Look no further than Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Located just north of Bass Pro Shop, Joe's Karting can handle outings of well over 100-plus people. Bachelor parties, corporate outings, team building, birthday parties, and much more. Give Buddy a call today and reserve your outing. Joe's will even work with local restaurants to cater your event. Book yours today at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K. It's time to get to Joe's and find out what everyone already knows. Max I. Walker has been providing great service to the Omaha area for nearly 100 years. With 23 convenient locations, it's easy to find a Max I. Walker near you. From dry cleaning to laundry to uniform rentals, Max I. Walker is here to make sure you look your best. Max I. Walker has been a proud supporter of local dirt track racing since 1974. From Sunset Speedway to Adams County Speedway and legends of the dirt like Dave Chase, Glenn Roby, Ron Tilley, and so many more. Give Max I. Walker a call today or head to maxiwalker.com.
We're working the High Line into Turn 2 on the Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting. Online at joeskarting.com.
Welcome back to the Front Stretch, heading into turn number 2 and continuing to talk to several tracks around the area. In the later end of 2014, we talked with Bret Pugh, the brand new race promoter for Shelby County Speedway, and wanted to check in with him one more time to make sure to get some things shored up for him because you guys have made some changes over there. So, Bret Pugh, appreciate you joining the program today.
Thank you.
Bret, let's talk about the changes that you've got going on so far at Shelby County Speedway. And by the way, racescs.com is where you can get a lot of this information that we're going to cover today. Let's start with the changes that are going on at Shelby County. Hot laps at 6 o'clock, races at 6:30. Your target is to finish the race, the night of racing, by 9:30. What do you got going on in works to make sure that you're at least close to that 9:30?
Okay, well, to begin with, we're going to make sure the show starts right on time, like it's supposed to. That's been a problem, and I mean, the first night, if they aren't there on time for races to start, we're starting without them.
And that's drivers, by the way.
Yeah, drivers. Yep. Yeah, definitely drivers. Yep. And just because we're going on that, we got to stay with that. So make sure the guys show up early. We'll be sending out a notice for that, too, to make sure they know that.
Well, let me hit on this then. A big part of that for night number 1 is going to be pre-registration. So
right.
Me as if I'm a driver,
really hard.
How can I pre-register right now with you now, or do I need to wait until February or March?
No, I got them right here on the desk, and they're online, and you can send them in, or you can do it at Finish Line Racing Products, or anything is possible. The next thing we're doing is we're going to do all the pictures of the feature winners after the complete features are done.
Okay.
So if people want to get out of there sooner, they can. They don't have to wait for the pictures to be taken. And I raced. I know what it's like to sit in those cars with 100 degrees out and the humidity's high, and you're waiting for them to take pictures. So we've just decided we're going to do the pictures after all the features are over, and that way the people can come down out of the stands and enjoy themselves with the racers and stuff, and get the pictures taken and take their time doing it.
All right, so you've got pictures after the races. You've got races getting started on time at 6:30 with your heat races. What about like parking and intermission? Let's talk about intermission. You going to do a 20, 30, 40-minute intermission?
We're going to try to keep it at 10 minutes, and because it always ends up taking double that, unless there's some kind of promotional deal going on, like the nickel toss or the bike giveaway or the different things that can happen. But we're going to try to cut that back. The main reason for the intermission, the way I see it anyway, is to give our employees a break to get something to drink in between the show, because it ends up being a long show. Because the people in the stands don't always want to watch every race. They've got opportunities to go to the concession stand.
Right. Yeah, we talked to Ben Shelton of MSR Mafia in Dirt on Dirt and Lucas Oil late model racing last year, and one of his big things was some of these intermissions that are 30 minutes. People are just standing around twiddling their thumbs doing nothing, and you're losing the attention of your fans. So 5-10 minutes tops, and you really don't need a long intermission. So I was glad to see you guys taking that approach. Yeah.
And the other thing is we're going to have the transponders, and it's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be near the problem lining up. All you got to do is look at the computer screen and know exactly where everyone's at. Get them lined up, get them going again after a yellow or a red. And we want cars on the track at all times. So when they come in from the feature, we want them to go out for the feature or for the heat races, both, just to be out there immediately.
Mm-hmm. And then receivers are also looking like they're going to be mandatory?
Yeah, they always have been.
Okay.
For quite a while anyway. But we're gonna try to utilize that more and talk to them clearer and more often about what's going on and where to be on the track. And it's going to be important that they work, because if they don't work, we're gonna put them to the back.
I got to ask a question. I apologize if maybe I'm pushing a button here or something, but I need to ask it. A couple of times that I've been to Shelby County, one of my grievances and complaints was the length of the show. And obviously you taking over, that's one of your biggest goals, is to make sure the show runs smoothly and fluidly. Any concerns for me as a fan with you adding the bomber class that the show's going to go a little bit longer, or are you anticipating still with trimming the show down and running everything smooth that you're still going to be able to get us out of there by 9:30 or so?
Yep, I do. I've watched it. I've timed it enough times to know that the pictures alone take up to an hour and a half out of the show.
Wow.
By putting that at the end. It takes almost 15 minutes per time they take pictures after a feature show. So if you just do that, just an hour and a half there, and say we were getting over at 11, that would be 11:30.
Yep.
Or at 9:30, I mean.
Right.
But I realize the more cars, it's gonna be worse. But we were always usually done when we had 120 to 130 car count in the years past. We were usually at 11:30. We were out of there. So if you take an hour and a half off that, you're at 10. I think.
Go ahead. Sorry.
And then we're gonna start a half hour early too.
Yep. We're talking with Bret Pugh, the promoter for Shelby County Speedway, RaceSCS.com. Bret, I apologize. I keep running over you.
Nope, that's fine. I don't shut up.
Listen, I've had my first energy drink of the day, and I'm all fired up, so I'm going a million miles an hour right now.
Good.
It's going to be
the racing season's coming.
I got to get ready for it, and I'm getting ready by talking to you, big guy.
Good.
Let's talk about entertainment value for the racing or for the fans. I noticed that you put on your page that you guys are talking about having a pit reporter. How close are you guys getting to finalizing that?
Pretty good. I got to talk to him again and make sure he's committed to doing it. I think that's a big deal to be able to keep talking when we're running the races and in between the stuff, to keep the fans involved in what's going on. I think that's real important.
I can't agree with you anymore. With doing the announcing at Crawford County and having PJ as my pit reporter, he takes so much off of me. He's so knowledgeable with that area of drivers, and he's really going to add a lot to Joe Proctor. Just simply having someone there to lean on really makes the show run a lot better, and it keeps the fans entertained.
Yeah, just to talk to somebody. You need to be able to converse with somebody back and forth to have a conversation going. Otherwise, it's just one person talking continuously. And, you can't keep repeating yourself. I sure wouldn't be a good announcer, I can tell you that much.
Well, listen, as narcissistic as I can be, nobody wants to hear me talk for 4 hours straight, so I loved it when they hired PJ to help me out.
Yep, he's got a good personality. People like him, and he has the right questions to ask.
All right,
I enjoy it.
So we've covered the start time at 6 o'clock, heat races at 6:30. We've talked about shortening the intermission. How about parking passes and grandstand passes? What are we working on for that?
Yeah, we're still pushing the grandstand passes and the in the pits. We did lower our prices to $9 in the grandstands for the adults. I can't. I don't know what they were for kids. I don't even know. That gets out of my forgetfulness, I guess. Let's see. The 10-punch pass for the grandstand is available for $80, and in the pit passes, they're still available for $225 for adults and $90 for children 5 and under. I guess that's what we have down here. Let's see. And the parking spots, we lowered our price on the front stretch to $75 from $100. It was always $100 in the past. It includes electric access, and then all other spots are $50. And we've still got a few, maybe a half a dozen spots left on the front stretch, and they're filling up. So I'm hoping that being everybody's parked in the middle, and of course I would like to see the fact that we've filled the pits up, and then we'd have to put them on the outside. But right now we're going to try to get everybody on the inside of the pits.
And then you're also going to try to line up, I think we do this at Crawford, where a lot of the bigger haulers go out into turns 3 and 4 on the outside of the pits. Is something like that, or is viewing of the track for the fans not a big issue with the bigger haulers?
It isn't. I mean, if it's going to be a problem, we might have to address that. It's just we're trying to trim the staff a little bit. Before we had people out in the back, then we have to have extra people to watch them, people coming across for safety reasons, and they don't have the access they need to get to the concessions and that kind of thing. In the pits, the pit lane, they have to have four-wheelers and bring their tires up and all that kind of stuff. So I'm hoping that that's a good idea. If it becomes a problem and we can't see, then we'll have to change that.
But something you guys can definitely keep an eye on as the season goes on. So
right, exactly. And if it impedes the viewing and you can't see, then we'll have to address that when it happens. But for right now, we're going to try to get everybody in the pits.
Bomber rules. What are you looking at going with? Are you going to copy anybody? You guys going to go on your own?
Well, no. We kind of went with Buena Vista's rules that they used to have. We made just a few changes to it. We're going to allow stock appearing shocks, and if they want to run AFCO or Bilstein or QA1 racing shocks that are stock appearing, we're going to allow them, just because the hobby stocks can. We did make a rule change and say they can have front hoops, the full front hoop in the front for safety reasons. The rules we'd taken had that out of there. We put that back in so they can have a front hoop if they want. And that way, if they want to move up to hobby stock sometime during the season, they sure can.
Now, something everybody has been waiting for the offseason to hear about, and is I know everyone are really excited about it that have heard about it so far, but the Tiny Lund's back.
Yes, it is.
All right, let's talk about that a little bit. August 29th is when it's scheduled for?
Right, yep. That ends up being a week before Super Nationals. We're going to have our season championship the week before that.
Okay.
So, I'm not going to count for track points. Our track points will be over, but it's still going to count for IMCA points. So the late models and everyone else will still get IMCA points for that.
Are you looking to make any changes to the way the Tiny Lund is run, or is this year just let's get it back, we'll run it this year, and then we'll make notes on what can be changed for 2016, if anything needs to be changed? Right.
No, this is going to be a learning experience, but we're going to do just a one-day show. We're not going to do the two-day show. The last few years I've watched, the last 3 years, it's been a two-day show, and I think it's not necessary. I think it just was a two-day show because it always was a two-day show.
Yeah.
And this year we're going to go to a one-day show, and I think we're going to kind of run it a dual purse type deal with Denison. So we'll still run 2 nights, but at 2 different tracks.
So and that was my next question, because we talked to Joe Miller earlier in the season. Well, it was probably about 2 months ago in 2014 that the Tiny Lund would have a first night at Crawford County, and then the second night would be at Shelby County Speedway, and then there was kind of maybe not. So can you kind of clarify, is that first night going to be at Crawford County on August 28th?
They're going to have a race on the 28th.
Okay.
It won't be called the Tiny Lund. The Tiny Lund is definitely in Harlan and always has been, but it'll be in conjunction with it.
Okay.
And we'll add to the purse. It'll be a whatever you want to call it, a Midwest sweep, or I don't know what we'll call it, but we'll call it something.
Look, you got time to come up with a catchy name.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, what have we missed out on, Mr. Pugh?
Oh, I don't know. Let's see. We did the Bombers. I do have the IMCA license stuff available if anyone wants to get that done.
Okay.
The more people we can get to pre-register, that's going to be a biggie. I hate to have somebody outside the pits and the races start without them. And we're going to have enough people there the first night to make sure we can take care of everybody that comes as fast as we can. So that's going to be a big deal. So if they don't get there in time, I don't want it to be our fault,
Right.
We are starting the races at 6.
What about we didn't cover race director and tech officials. Do you have those set in stone yet?
Yeah, the race director is going to be Doug Botts. He works with me. He's from up here in my area. I've known him for years. He's been around racing for a long time. I think he's going to be going to push to being fair and making decent calls on time as quickly as possible, and especially with the race sponders deal. I think it'll make the transponders, I guess, will make a big difference. And Rod Olson, I don't know, a lot of guys know him as Ox. He's been around racing for years. He's going to be our main tech man.
Okay.
And we're also going to do some training for that. IMCA is going to come out and do a training for us, for our race director, and our tech officials, so they know they're on the same page as what IMCA is. I think there's always been a lack of training there that I've always wanted to see done better, I guess. So, and I think they might open that up to some more people even. That's what I've heard.
All right, Bret Pugh of Shelby County Speedway. RaceSCS.com. The 2015 schedule is up. The track information, the website's completely updated. You've changed it to Dominate the Dirt. That's the theme for Shelby County Speedway in Harlan, Iowa.
You bet. No, I think it looks nice. And I want to encourage everyone to sign up for the text alerts, because we're going to continue to send out alerts throughout the season, keep everybody updated just to know what's going on. And I think that's important to have contact with everybody. And
absolutely.
And and I want everybody. I mean, I've been getting calls from people all over the place wanting to come. It's been real encouraging. I hope we blow them out of the water the first night and have 140 or 150 cars. I think that'd be awesome.
Well, to be honest with you, man, I don't think that's too far-fetched. I think talking to a lot of drivers in the pits at the end of last year through some of the specials, I know there was a lot of drivers that I heard the same thing. I'm headed back.
Yep.
I'm finally going back.
And I know a lot of people. I mean, a lot of racers. That's what I do. So I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I hope. I haven't made anybody mad over the years.
Well, we all do it every once in a while.
You can't help that. Yep.
All right,
that
sir.
For sure.
We'll wrap it up and let you continue your weekend. We appreciate your time.
You betcha. Thanks for calling.
Have a good one, Bret.
You betcha. We'll see you.
Bye. All right, so again, that was Bret Pugh of Shelby County Speedway, RaceSCS.com. For more information, you can also find him on Facebook, Shelby County Speedway, Harlan, Iowa. So to kind of recap what Bret talked about there, 6 o'clock is hot laps, 6:30 are the heat races, and it looks like their opening night is going to be April 25th, and then weekly racing opener continues May 2nd, May 9th, and so on. They're going to have transponders, pit reporters. Joe Proctor's going to be back in the announcer's booth taking care of all the play-by-play. Race receivers are going to be back. Bombers are going to be added. Point funds, pit passes, all the stuff's available, and all the stuff is on RaceSCS.com. Not to mention, the Tiny Lund is back. All right, we're going to be back in turn number 3 to talk to Willie Craft for the Legends of the Dirt Series. Make sure you stick around. You're not going to want to miss that. We'll be back here on the front stretch. Presented by Joe's Karting on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
This is Andrew from Kosinski Auto Parts. Kosinski Auto Parts is an insurance-quality used parts supplier that can match your foreign or domestic car or truck needs. If you have a damaged or broke-down car or truck, we guarantee a clean and quality part in next-day fashion. Kosinski Auto Parts, your neighborhood premium recycled parts supplier. Call any Kosinski Auto Parts salesman today by dialing 402-731-4592 or visit us at 5040 I Street in Omaha. Kosinski Auto Parts, our quality used parts will match your car or truck's needs.
Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs has taken a page out of IMCA's rulebook and gone crate. These brand new low-emission engines will still have you white-knuckling it all through the Metro's fastest indoor facility. Joe's Karting is now friendly for all skill levels with their brand new Honda-powered engines. It's time to get to Joe's today and find out what drivers like Jack Dover, Shaylee Bate, and Andrew Kosinski have known for years. Located in Council Bluffs and online at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K.
Time to grab another tear-off and make your move. We're headed into Turn 3 on the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting.
Welcome back to the front stretch. We're heading into turn number 3, brought to you by Kosinski Auto Parts. Online at KosinskiAutoparts.com, located at 51st and I Street. Kosinski Auto Parts for the 3rd straight year, helping us do the Legends of the Dirt series. And Lee Ackerman joining us in studio to help out with the interviews as He is the historian for a lot of these drivers, and Lee, I do appreciate all the help you've done throughout the Legends of the Dirt series. We're finishing up the Legends of the Dirt series with Willie Kraft. And Lee, if you could, let's kick off with Willie Craft, kind of get some bullet points of the beginning of his career.
Well, Willie Kraft...
come right up on that mic.
Huh?
Pull that mic right up close to you.
Willie Kraft came out of Lakefield, Minnesota, raced locally, and then he raced a lot in the Busch All-Star Tour, later went to the United States Auto Club when they had a 4-year stint with actual dirt late models, not dirt stock cars. Actually won that. That was probably one of his big things. And I remember his blue and yellow 83, as Stan remembers it, and Hardy's number 83. And he was always a fan favorite, I think.
Always a great-looking car, you bet.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there you go, Willie. You got that going for you.
Well, that sounds good. You still remember me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, we always tried to. We had some pretty good sponsors back then, so we always tried to have a good-looking car. Not that you could always keep it that way, but we always tried to, keep them up and something colors to stand out. When you're on the track, it was hard to see at some of these racetracks. The lighting and stuff. So, we thought we did a good job trying to present a good-looking car.
Willie, if you don't mind, take me back to the start of your racing career. How did you get into dirt racing to start this all off?
Well, I started, of course, my local track, Jackson, Minnesota, Worthington, Minnesota, Slayton, Minnesota, Fairmont, Minnesota. They were all within 45 miles. And my brother started, actually, my oldest brother, did some hobby stock or street stock, whatever they were called back then. I kind of watched him and go to the racetrack, sit in the grandstands. I wasn't old enough to go in the pits, and I kind of enjoyed it. So he inspired me to get going in it, and then of course I got into street stocks and then one day, I don't know if anybody remembers Bob Shyrock. He come along and asked me to drive his backup car. And we would go out to Rapid City and Webster City and, travel around within 3-state area. And so he pretty much got me going in the late model.
Lee, Bob Shyrock, is that Kelly's?
That's Kelly's dad. He was killed, Willie, in the early 80s? I think it was a construction accident, but a great driver in that black number 3.
Yes, he was. And really gung-ho, just always went after everything with full heart in racing, and, just a really nice guy. Kind of miss Bob. But anyway, he had me drive his backup car with the understanding in those days if he had trouble, I would have to get out, and then he would take over.
You can borrow it as long as I don't need it.
Yeah. but being 17 years old, I said that would be great. And those cars had big blocks and didn't really have much for tires back then to choose from. So you really had to learn how to drive, on a dry, slick track and be patient with them. So that's pretty much how I got started in the late model.
Was there, before you got into the late model, how did you like racing the hobby stocks and the other cars? Was it something that was just fun, but once you got into the late models, you found your calling?
I liked everything I've ever raced. It was just what they ran at the local tracks at that time, and then the late models start coming in bigger and bigger and bigger, every year coming out with something new. Pretty much when I started with the street stocks, you built your own car, and sometimes you built them really heavy duty, so you could make it through the night. But you couldn't really go out and buy anything. You had to kind of build your own stuff or buy a car from someone else.
Lost my train of thought there. Sorry about that, Willie. Have you raced anything other than what we talked about at the beginning of your career and then move on to dirt late models? Any sprint car racing or anything like that?
Yeah, I did sprint car for just a little bit. It was short-lived. It was after I was married, and I wouldn't be married yet today. I married 35 years right now, but she would have left a long time ago if I stayed in sprint cars. So,
Gee, that sounds like a common thread.
Congratulations.
yeah. So that was short-lived. Yeah, that was short-lived. But it was fun. I enjoyed it. They're real easy to work on. They were simple, easy to set up. So yeah, it was fun, but it was just only like 4 or 5 races.
Well,
So,
let's say that your wife would have stayed with you. You know, all joking aside, if you would have stayed with sprint car, would you have rather gone sprint car racing, or did you enjoy late model racing that much?
I enjoyed late model because at that time the late models were really coming in big and traveling. You had the NDRA that we ran quite a bit of, and of course the USAC, the World Outlaws started the late models. And then later years, the Bush Tour came through, and so it was just starting, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger. So,
well, you did later in your career, just to kind of finish where Dan was going. You not only raced modifieds, but you built modifieds.
Yeah, that was pretty much after I decided. Well, I had other things I had to look at. For my job opportunities and different things. So I quit traveling. I couldn't do that anymore because it's 24/7. You're on the road all the time and taking care of things. And then we got into the modified with my boys later when they were getting older. And so if I was going to build these modifieds, I decided I better drive them. I hadn't really driven them, the little tires. And I thought I better, see what I could do with them. So that's when I started racing modifieds, because I had to understand them a little better if I was going to build them. And then we got into building the modifieds, I suppose, for a period of, I'm going to say 15 years. And now, of course, that's what I kind of ended up driving, the last couple of years is just we go out and test a little bit with modifieds and stuff. We don't build a whole lot anymore. Pretty much got out of that. Maybe a handful. We still do a few. And a lot of times it's just I have a friend that does shocks. We go out and just test shocks and do different things like that. So I'm still involved, but not full-time.
You mentioned, when you were traveling quite a bit with NDRA and the different series, we always remember the name Willie Craft and kind of put it together with the Busch All-Star Tour and the NASCAR Touring Series is also that got down into our neck of the woods here in Nebraska and Iowa. But you probably saw a lot of different types of racetracks around the country. Did you have any particular type of track that you like better than others? The bull rings or the bigger half miles or banked or flat?
Oh, at that time, my favorite tracks were probably, of course, Eldora, and I-70 when it was dirt, and the bigger tracks.
So when
you half mile.
When you raced at I-70 when it was dirt, did you run it flat all the way around there?
Yes, you could. You could. Although I've seen, they had a retaining wall. Of course, now this was probably a little taller than what it was when we came there on dirt, because what they did was put 3 or 4 feet of dirt around it. Well, the retaining wall soon came down to about 2 feet or 3 feet, and you had to watch it, because I seen cars just, if you hit the wall, you were going over, and you weren't going to stop for a while. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, what kind of a retaining wall was that? Did it do any good?
Well, it was cement all the way around.
That was a fast place when they put the dirt on it.
Absolutely.
Willie, did you ever dream of higher touring series? Ever want aspirations of getting up into NASCAR, maybe the IndyCar series or something like that?
Yeah, I did at one point. But I had other obligations I had to take care of and do other things. What it involved was moving my family, south, which I had plenty of opportunities to do. I'm talking like southeast. And, when you got kids in school and they got friends and everything and all this, I just kept it that way. Took care of the family and left them, where they were at and where they were comfortable. So that's probably one of the reasons I never done that. And, I wished maybe I would have, but then again, you can't race forever.
Yeah.
So I had a good time doing what I did.
It kind of sounds to me like, even though, you were obviously dedicated to your racing, but that racing was kind of second fiddle to the family life and to making sure you were taking care of your kids and your wife.
Yeah, it was. Although there was, I think 12 straight years, all I did was travel and race. So it came to a point, my dad had a construction company, and he wanted me to run it and take care of it, in which I've got sisters, brother-in-laws, nephews, nieces, my boys. It's a big family-run company, and he always wanted me to do that. So, I just thought, I better do that for him. And I kind of backed out of the racing. But although I got to do what I wanted to do, I traveled for 12 years. And the biggest summer was, or I would say year, 37 states.
Wow.
In one summer, yeah.
Did the family come
so
with
I got
you?
Around.
Did the family come with you on some of those excursions?
Yeah, more so when I'd fly to drive for someone or it wasn't going to be where I was gone for 2 or 3 weeks, just maybe a week or 3-4 days, whenever they could get away.
We're talking with Willie Craft for the Legends of the Dirt Series, brought to you by Kosinski Auto Parts, 51st and I Street in Omaha. Willie, let's take a quick break. We'll let you catch your breath. We'll come back at turn number 4, and we'll wrap it all up. We'll be right back here on the Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
Are you looking to book your next outing? Look no further than Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Located just north of Bass Pro Shop, Joe's Karting can handle outings of well over 100-plus people. Bachelor parties, corporate outings, team building, birthday parties, and much more. Give Buddy a call today and reserve your outing. Joe's will even work with local restaurants to cater your event. Book yours today at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K. It's time to get to Joe's and find out what everyone already knows.
We have all been there before. Broken car part in your hand and some snot-nosed punk behind the counter has no idea what he is talking about, but he guarantees that this part will fix your car. You pay an arm and a leg for the replacement, get it home, and sure enough, it doesn't fit your car. Now, learn from your mistake and give an experienced salesperson at Kosinski Auto Parts a call today at 402-731-4592. Kosinski Auto Parts will get you back on the road with your arms and legs still attached.
Get ready for the victory lap as we make our way into Turn 4 on the Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting, online at joeskarting.com.
Welcome back to the Front Stretch, heading into turn number 4, about ready to wrap it up as we continue our Legends of the Dirt series, brought to you by Kosinski Auto Parts, online at kosinski.com and 51st and I Street. Quality used parts at an affordable price. Today we are wrapping up the Legends of the Dirt series with Willie Craft. Make sure to stay tuned. Next weekend, the Playland Speedway show will be played February 1st at Super Bowl Sunday. We'll play that at 8 a.m. And then the following Sunday, February 8th, will be hour number 2. And then we'll come back on February 15th with brand new shows, new revamped everything, and we'll get you ready for the Daytona 500. But before we do all of that, Stan Caesar, Lee Ackerman still in studio helping me out, talking to Willie Kraft, quite a driver in his day. And Willie, if there was one win above all the wins you've had, I believe somewhere around 350 wins in your career, is there one win that stands above the rest?
There's probably one, and I probably talked about this before. It would have been at Indianapolis on the mile at the fairgrounds. UMP had a special there, and I ended up borrowing a car and going out there. And, of course, I had bad luck timing in. We fixed the car and started in the back of the B, won the B, started in the back of the feature, and it was 50 laps, and we ended up winning it. But the reason it sticks out so much is Kenny Schrader was there that day, and I raced quite a bit with Kenny back in the NDRA days. And he was right ahead of me, and he showed me how to draft. Of course, when you're on the mile, you're going pretty good with these late models, and so he showed me how to draft, and you could do it just right, and you'd get a car every lap. So, that you just remember things like that you learn from other people, different drivers. So, yeah, that kind of sticks out.
That was a big payday, too. I believe it paid $20,000 to win.
Yeah.
And I think Schrader actually won a modified feature that same day.
Yeah.
Did Schrader...
Well, they had the world...
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, you were going to finish a sentence there?
I was going to say they had the World of Outlaws there, too, sprint cars.
Let's go down the road of if you'd have never gone with dirt racing. Maybe it didn't work out for you. Maybe you never fell in love with it. What do you think you would have done had it not been dirt racing? Do you think your life would have been pretty close to the same?
I don't know. Yeah, it probably would be pretty close. Growing up on the farm, you just learned how to do things, and you had to fix things. And my dad, showed us how to weld and learn different things, which I wish a lot of the younger kids could do today. But, I would have probably ended up the same way. I'd done the same things I probably am doing today.
Do you look at today's racers and say, boy, if I could be 30 years younger, I'd whoop all you boys?
Yeah. From what you learn, but no, today what I would do is just probably put some young buck in there and just wrench the car. I don't think I would want to attempt it, but yeah, you think that, it's just like every day we get up and we get older and we can't do the things we used to do, but you always want to.
Yeah.
You can try.
Sometimes you can try and your body just tells you, nope, not doing it.
Right.
Willie, was the best ride you ever had the Joe Minga car?
Yeah, that lasted for about 5 years.
And I know you dominated USAC that one year.
Yeah, that was good. There was a lot of good rides. I drove a lot of cars, different people. One, I remember being in Pennsboro at I don't know the end of the year, and the next week I was out in Manzanita, racing in Arizona. But I just fly out there, So there was a lot of different people I drove for, but to just have a team and stay with a team, yeah, Joe was. We did some really good racing back then with Joe, because we did more down south and out east, and pretty much. And then I'd come home and race up there, and so yeah, that was good times. What
made that car maybe not so much better, but just better than the other ones? It made it more suited to your liking.
Well, I think it was the whole combination of the motor program, the team that we had, people helping you. It was just, not just so much the car, it was everybody involved, that you had the connections with for the period of time you were racing with him, So, yeah, and it's a team effort, so that's why that worked out real good.
We're talking with Willie Craft for the Legends of the Dirt Series. Willie, were you a superstitious kind of driver?
Well, no, not really. I didn't like green, and I learned that peanuts were bad luck if you ate them at the racetrack. So, but after a while, that was in my younger years. But after 40, it didn't really matter. You can, money's green, so you always wanted that.
If you put blue and yellow together, you get green. So.
Yeah.
Right. So it just didn't matter after a while. I just figured out that you had to have everything right, and not just make it like it's superstitious or something went wrong because of that. So
if you had a string of bad luck, and we'll call it bad luck, maybe it was just misfortune, things were breaking, and you needed to change the momentum of the season and the race team. What were some of the things you may have worked on? Did you maybe exercise the demons, or was this something you just kind of sat down and focused a little harder?
Well, it was like this. If I got a new car, which I could go through maybe 3 or 4 in the year, and I raced it 3 or 4 nights, and if it didn't do what I wanted it to do, I'd bring it home, strip it down, throw it out back, and then call them up and get a different one. That's just because of the way you couldn't really, with the competition, and today's worse, but with the competition, you just couldn't afford to take off a month to try to figure something out. You just had to stay with something that you knew what was going to happen, and keep it going, and then learn a little bit as you went instead of one big jump all at one time.
Well, isn't it amazing, having built cars in the past, that you talk about a car and you get another one. Sometimes you can build that car that's a carbon copy of the one you had before, and some of them work, and some of them for some reason just don't work. Is that true?
Yeah, it is, but I think in today's world, with what we've got going on and what they've learned over the years, I think now they can duplicate pretty close.
A lot more consistent.
But back then, we didn't know what, I know we were playing with different size tubing and different things like that. So, but they've learned so much now. Now it's more so your setup, your shocks, the whole package, and having the right tires on. I used to have 50 tires that I haul around in my hauler, and always had the wrong 4 on.
I think there's a lot of drivers out there that know exactly what you're talking about. Hey, when you started off your season, did you have a bar you would set or something that you would say, I need to achieve this in order to call it a successful season?
Yeah, we did. And it wasn't so much winning. It was like making your quota for the month or the week. That we had to win so much. And even though you had sponsors, and I had good sponsors, I had Hardy, I had Ethanol. When they first started out, there was good sponsors there. But you still needed a certain amount. My goal was to win. When you're getting a percentage, you want to make so much. It's just like a paycheck, So, and you could do that back then. Today, I don't know, how that all works, but you could do that because they had more races to go to. Little fair races, you go pick up, 5,000 here and 4,000 here, and some specials, just locally, which a lot of those places are closed now. They don't even race anymore. So you could do that back then.
That's kind of interesting. I guess I always assumed if I was a racer and I started off my season, I'd say I'd want 25, 30, maybe 40 wins on a season, and I'd like to win a championship at some sort of form. But talking to a lot of you legends of the Dirt Series for this, it was more of an attitude of we just need to make sure we're in the black as far as the race finances are concerned.
Right. Well, because there was a point that in racing here in these years when we raced, that you could actually go out and make a living on it and not necessarily own everything, but when you drove and what you won and your percentage, you could actually make a living. Today, no, I don't think so, other than sponsors, or selling something or being involved, some sort of business with it. But back then, you could do that.
Do you have a scariest moment in the car? Maybe a moment that you got into an accident and you're not quite sure if you were going to walk away unharmed?
Yeah, there was one in a wedge car. I don't know if you remember those. Do you remember the wedge cars?
Oh, yeah. You bet.
They were so small, I had 8 inches to crawl in between the roof and the sidewall. And I got down in there, and of course, those things we run just sprint car tires is what we ran. I ran 12, 13-inch stagger and back, and you didn't run power steering because the car would just turn itself. And I got hit on the start of the race on the front, and my hand got caught in the steering wheel, and it wrapped around and just broke my, by my elbow, just snapped it. And I'm sitting there. And I can't lift my arm up, and it falls all the way back around, and that's a weird feeling.
Yeah, so, I'll bet. I'll bet it is.
Yeah. So that laid me up for a while with the pins and the plates and
Not a good thing.
But that was probably one of the scariest times, when you lift your arm up and your hand falls all the way around.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine how that'd be a little frightening. Wait a minute, that's not supposed to move like that. All right, Willie, we appreciate your time. It's been an honor talking to you, and try to stay warm for the next couple of weeks, okay, sir?
I will.
Take care, Willie. Thanks a bunch.
Thanks a lot. Always appreciated seeing you pull in the pit gate. We knew you'd be a tough competitor.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Have a good night, Willie. Thank you very much.
All right, bye.
Bye. All right, so that was Willie Craft wrapping up the interviews that we have for the Legends of the Dirt series, but that doesn't do it for us by far. We still have the Playland Speedway show next weekend and the following weekend. We broke it up into 2 different hours, and Jerry Slusky joined us. I actually finished editing up the show a couple of days ago, and Jerry Slusky did a great job. And Stan, I appreciate you helping me out with that. You kind of carried the banner for me on that show.
No problem. We spent a lot of time over there, a lot of years, kind of grew up around the place, and back the early days of Sunset, of course, my dad was an official, and I followed him around all the tracks about as soon as I could walk and tag along.
Is that where you got your start, was Playland?
Well, actually, yeah. Playland was the first place,
yep.
And then they built Sunset in '57, and it was, kind of those things, and a lot of great people. I guess the main thing is the people that you meet and throughout. I've been involved in this thing for probably 60 years, and it's a great, like I say, the people you meet. The racing, of course, is always exciting, but things always come around to. There's a lot of great stories and a lot of great, it's a great atmosphere.
And we told a lot of great stories at Quaker Steak and Lube back in September when we recorded the event. Jerry Slusky, obviously, like I just mentioned, was there. Ed Morrison was there. Trying to think of some of the other ones that came out that night.
Ron Tilley, one of the perennial, and and even we even talked about a guy that used to race over there was a professional boxer. Ron Stander fought for the heavyweight championship, and Ron raced over at Playland. He was in attendance over there, had a great time, and it was great to see a lot of the familiar faces that you haven't seen for a lot of years.
And Wayne Q did a great job of helping organize that with getting some memorabilia out there, some old things, some photo albums, news clippings, that kind of stuff for people to look at while we were out there.
And we had some even vintage race cars on display.
Bill Rick brought out his Gotcha Series car.
And Rick Munson and guys that actually raced those cars back in those days.
Yep. So you can hear all of that as we replay the Playland Speedway reunion show next weekend and the following weekend, February 1st and 8th, and then we come back on the 15th to do the Daytona 500 preparation party as we get ready for the 2015 NASCAR racing season and as we get ready for the 2015 Dirt Racing Series.
Boy, it's going to be here before you know it.
And I cannot wait with the way the weather's been lately. Gentlemen, I can't say it enough how much I appreciate you guys helping me out with the show. You do a fantastic job, Lee, helping me out so much with getting me these bios and making me, kind of propping me up a little bit, making me sound a little smarter.
Hey, we enjoy it. Thanks for having us.
We'll do it again next year, I'm sure. Lee's already working on a list of Legends of the Dirt series for this coming, I guess it'd be this coming fall.
So many legends, so little time.
Exactly. All right, we'll be back.
That's right.
Don't forget, you can always go to the Joe's Karting YouTube page. Subscribe to us, so that way you can get updates when we post the shows. We post them every Tuesday on the Joe's Karting YouTube page. You can go back and listen to just about every show since the start of 2012. That's the Joe's Karting YouTube page. All right, we're going to come back. We're going to actually end the show for the weekend, and we'll be back next weekend with the Playland Speedway reunion show. Thanks a lot. This is The Front Stretch on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs has taken a page out of IMCA's rulebook and gone crate. These brand new low-emission engines will still have you white-knuckling it all through the Metro's fastest indoor facility. Joe's Karting is now friendly for all skill levels with their brand new Honda-powered engines. It's time to get to Joe's today and find out what drivers like Jack Dover, Shaylee Bate, and Andrew Kosinski have known for years. Located in Council Bluffs and online at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K. Max I Walker has been providing great service to the Omaha area for nearly 100 years. With 23 convenient locations, it's easy to find a Max I Walker near you. From dry cleaning to laundry to uniform rentals, Max I Walker is here to make sure you look your best. Max I Walker has been a proud supporter of local dirt track racing since 1974. From Sunset Speedway to Adams County Speedway and legends of the dirt like Dave Chase, Glenn Roby, Ron Tilley, and so many more. Give Max I Walker a call today or head to maxiwalker.com.